So we're painting today, and this is the siding. We prepped it by caulking. The first thing you need to do is really caulk all of the gaps so that when you paint, you won't see any cracks. The next thing you're gonna do is actually tape the windows. Now there's a few ways you can actually tape the window. One way you can do it is tape from the outside in, which is the way we did on this side. But I would say there's a better way, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. We're gonna tape it from the in to the outside. And basically what you're doing is, let's go ahead and take this tape off, just so I can kind of show you what that would look like. So instead of taping it on the outside and then putting the plastic on the inside, is you would actually put the tape on the window like this, from the inside to the outside, like that, okay? And you do the same thing on the top. You put your tape on this flat surface. Now, before we did any caulking, we actually power washed the walls. Why do you power wash the walls? First of all, you want this caulk to stick really good, but you also, whenever you're taping and stuff, you don't want a bunch of dirt and stuff to be on the windows, because then your tape will not stick very good. A few things you need to know. Now, when you're buying your plastic, you want to get plastic that's extremely thin. It comes in rolls for about $10 a roll. You can do 20, 30 windows. Okay, so this is really thin plastic. Why do you want thin plastic? Because you don't want this plastic falling off of the tape whenever you're spraying. It's so light, it's gonna stay on very well. Your painter's tape. This is just regular old Scotch Blue painter's tape. And you want to make it a little thicker so that when you do put it on there, there's quite a bit that this can stick on, because if it doesn't stick on a whole bunch, it will want to come off. The next thing, when you're using your gun, you want to make sure to use something like a Titan 440 or something like that. They're about 1,500 bucks. You can also go to Harbor Freight. You can get the offshoot of the Titan, which is about 500 bucks. That's probably what I would do if this one ever broke again. I've owned this for about 10 years. That's why it's all painted up. If you're going to try to clean the outside, keep it nice all the time, you want to get you some spray stuff off of Amazon or at the store that gets latex paint off of your stuff, because when you're inside, you know, this is going to get sprayed all the time. You have a spray in here. You can always replace. When you unscrew this, there's inside this gun right here, if you unscrew this back part, there's a filter inside here. So every day when you paint, you want to make sure that you fill up a bucket of water. You take this gun apart at the end after you've cleaned everything out, and you want to take this filter out and kind of clean it out as well. And every once in a while you'll replace that filter, or just replace this whole top part of this gun. We did have something fall out right here, and so I replaced it with a nail. So I mean, we've used this one for a long time. When you're painting, what do you use this for? Well, typically, if you're not going to use plastic, you would use this to hold right there, and then you could spray so it doesn't get on the window. I don't recommend that, because you're still going to have overspray that's going to get all over that window. Then you're going to have to go back and clean it. It takes longer to clean than it does to put the plastic on. It always will take longer, maybe double, triple the time. So you might still want to use this, because every once in a while, like see right up there, it'll come unstuck, and so you can carry this around to go like that, and you could still put it on there just so you don't spray those little spots. And also, you know, if you're spraying on something like this, you can spray like that and behind it, so you don't get some of those type of little things as well. But that's what this is for. And every once in a while, like if you're painting underneath, like the heading right here, you could put this like that, and you could spray right here so that it doesn't overspray and get out on the outside of this. So that's what this shield is for. When you pick your paint, you want to pick a exterior latex type paint. Why do you pick latex? Because latex paint is water washable, and you can wash everything out with your water when you're finished. This right here, I actually picked the floor porch paint because it's a really durable paint, and I'm using it for the siding. Anything that's going to be on a floor is not going to bust, it's not going to chip, it's not going to scratch easy. They made it as strong as they could basically make it, and I'm using that for the siding. Plus it comes pre-mixed, so if you have 3 or 4 gallons left, you can always take it back to Walmart. And so that's why we picked the Glidden floor porch paint. But you can also just use regular semi-gloss exterior paint. It works just as well. You're also going to need some paint thinner. Now, even though this paint is water washable. You know, you can wash your gun out with water. At the very end, you'll run a little bit of paint thinner through your gun so that it doesn't rust on the inside of your paint sprayer. Okay, you want to have 2 buckets like this at the very end that you'll fill with water. One of them, you'll spray all of the stuff in your tank into that old bucket, and one of them will be full of water. And basically what you do is, one of them will go in the water. So let's just pretend this is water. You'll put that one in the water and then put this one out here in that other bucket, and you'll run that water all the way through this gun, and you'll clean this gun out first, this machine. Once the machine is somewhat clean, then you'll switch this right here. When you push it down, the paint goes through the gun only and comes out, okay? When you push it up, that means the paint's coming into your hose and out through your gun. So that's what that's for. So you're gonna push it up when you're ready to clean your hose out, and you wanna do that with water as well. And we're gonna do a cleaning video after this, but this is your basic painting video, so I'm just kinda giving you an overrun. You're gonna run at least maybe 1 full bucket of water through here, maybe even 1.5 to 2 buckets of water, until what's coming out of here is basically water. It may be a little bit cloudy, but at the very end, you want to run a little bit of paint thinner through only the gun. So you'll push this back down. You can pour a little paint thinner in this little bucket here, put this inside of it, and then push this down, and it will suck it into the gun, and then it'll push it right back out here whenever all of that is gone. You will try to run all this water out of this machine before you run the paint thinner. So go ahead and turn it on, let it run all the water till there's no more water, and then put that in there and run this paint thinner through there so it's not just mixing with water. So yeah, basically that is how you use a paint sprayer. Now, how do you actually paint? Now, when you're going to paint, you're going to need, a lot of people use like a suit for their body. You can get like a blue suit to put over your body. You can put something over your head, something that would go over your head that would cover your hair and only allow your eyes to come out. It's almost like if you were, you know, gonna rob a house or something. It looks like that. You can get, you know, just something to cover your head and cut the eyes out so that you're not getting paint all over your face. This is outside. There's really not any paint getting on me, and I don't mind taking a shower, so I'm not really doing that right now. But let me show you guys how to paint now. So we've already caulked, and now we're gonna go ahead and paint. So we've already taped everything. I showed you guys how to tape it with the tape. And you'll notice right here, I taped these from the outside in, and look how it's wanting to come undone. So just make sure before you spray, it is really important that you do make sure that everything is covered well. Now, what I like to do is I like to go around the windows first, because every once in a while, if you're going like this and you overspray the window, it may just pull this off and you're gonna get paint on your window. So what I like to do is spray the top. Now, if you'll notice, when you're painting with this gun, you can turn it up like this and it'll spray sideways, or you can turn it up like this and it'll spray up and down. And so you can use this to move it up and down. Also, if you ever need to clean out a gun, you can flip this backwards and it'll spray a big long spray. And basically that happens every once in a while. You'll get something clogged up in your gun somewhere inside here in the filter, and you want to spray it out, so you turn that and it'll spray out. There's also a cleaning device on here that you can press as well that will clean your gun out as well on the bottom there. If you ever get this thing clogged up or gummed up, if you push that, that'll clean out the inside of that gun. That very rarely happens if you clean everything really good after its use. So we've already sprayed the top there. Now we're gonna go ahead and spray around these windows, and you just wanna make it a continuous draw all the way down. You don't want to overspray any area. Now, it's warm right now, so typically when it's warm like this, you can get away with a little bit of overspray. If it was really like in the evening or whatever, you wouldn't go around the windows like this. You would just take it like this, wait, one continuous draw all the way over, just like this. And you're letting it up right at the very end. Then you grab it again, let go. Grab it, let go. And you want to spray just enough that you don't have to go over a second coat. You notice I'm doing it just thick enough that it's not dripping or draining or having lines. But when it dries, there's not going to be a lot of spots that you're going to have to go by and overspray. Maybe there's a few knots or something like that you're going to have to come by, and you know, you may have to overspray that little spot. But for the most part, it's done even after one coat. And so that's how we're doing it on this one. We're just putting one single coat. It's a really thick, it's a really good paint. If it's a thin, cheap paint, $15, $16, $20 can of paint, you're gonna have to spray this 2, sometimes 3 times just to cover up all these spots. But a good, thick, rich paint, you may only even have to cover 1 coat sometimes. And it depends on what you're doing. If it's a real expensive project you're doing for somebody that they want everything to be real nice and thick, you can go ahead and give them a second coat, charge them for that. Just make sure you put that in your estimate. Now on the bottom here, we're doing the same thing around this window. You just want to make sure you have a continuous draw all the way over. It's not, you don't want to be doing this kind of stuff. Okay, because what you're going to do is you're going to end up having overspray somewhere. So you really want to have one long draw when you're painting. And you don't want to go real fast, because then you're not painting enough paint on those spots. Now notice when I'm painting, I am overlapping a little bit because I want to make sure that that middle part gets covered. So if it was like an evening or something, you would have little spots there that would start dripping. So you want to do this during a time where it's not really moist. When you get to a wire like this, pull your wires up. On those spots, you can go over, do your little spots so you're not having to hold those wires, you know? Then you can drop those back down. Now you'll notice what happens with your gun. You see how it's running to run? I'm gonna turn it off. It's wanting to try to pull paint out, but there's no paint in there. And so you want to make sure you have both of these in there, and you want to keep paint continuously in here. You don't want to let it run out like that, because when you let it run out, a paint gun always has to be reprimed, because there will be air in the hose. And so when you let it run out, you have to reprime it. It's not a big deal. It only takes 30 seconds, but I'll show you how to reprime it. First, you want to make sure to, when you're painting also, another thing that's extremely important is when you buy your paint, you know, buy it like a day or 2 before you actually paint, and actually have them shake it. Because if they shake it, all you gotta do is, you know, shake it up a little bit right before you paint. But if they don't shake it, you're gonna have to actually have a mixer here, and you're gonna have to mix this every time instead of actually just a quick little mixture. So we got this paint in here now. I'm gonna go ahead and put the priming. When I push it down, you wanna push it down slowly, because you wanna release the pressure. If you push it down real fast, sometimes it'll shoot everything out, and it'll blow a bunch of paint out of here in your whole house. So push that slowly down, release the pressure, and now it's just gonna reprime just this machine right here. So when I turn it back on, it'll reprime the machine. You can also do a little mixing right there, because you just poured that in there. Make sure it's mixed nice and good. And yeah, that's it. Once it's reprimed, after maybe 15 seconds, you turn this little latch back up. Now it's pushing paint through this hose. And so once it's primed, the pressure's back in the hose. Now you can come back over here. You can pull this back up so you don't spray your wires. Now you notice right there, you see how that came open and there's a little bit of open spray? If you're doing a house that's not your own, and these people are very neat, fickle people, make sure you are putting this on there, okay, and spraying so that doesn't happen, because you're gonna have to go back and clean all that. And you can see at the very top there, there's a little bar you have to clean. I mean, it's gonna take a lot of time just to clean that one little section that you messed up on. Whereas if you did this, you could have easily went like that and it wouldn't have made your paper come up. So bring your shield around and use it. I typically like to use it on my projects, especially if I'm doing projects for someone else, because you see how much easier that was. And then you can do the same thing on the sides here. You can do a quick little, you know, just so it doesn't push your paper up. So anyway, this project is my own, and I don't really care that much if there's a little bit of paint on the window. So another thing, like plumbers, electricians, they hate getting paint on their plumbing. This one's going to come and attach out here, so I don't mind it that much. I'm going to end up covering that with some type of plastic cover anyway. But just cover it. If it's someone else's project, cover it. Because they're not, people are not going to be happy coming and seeing their stuff look like that. So anytime you're painting, the prep work takes longer than the actual paint job. So just know that you're going to be spending more time prepping than you actually will painting typically, or at least the exact same amount. And this tape is not sticking very well. Not sure why. I did actually accidentally leave it out in the rain one day. Maybe that's the reason, but just make sure to retape the spots, make sure it's ready to go. And I'll show you guys how to clean the painter in another video, so that you'll know exactly how to clean that paint gun, so that you can use it and it'll last 10 years like mine has, and you'll have no problems. And that's a Titan 440. I think it was about $1,400. I don't know how much they are now, but it's a great gun. It puts out a lot of paint, and it'll paint real fast. The cheaper guns, they don't put out very much paint. It takes twice as long. So spend the money to get something good. Go to Harbor Freight, get their $500 one or something like that. Don't go and get, you know, something for $300 or $400. It's just not going to last very long. Plus, you can replace parts on these instead of actually replacing the whole machine. You can come in here and replace parts if something breaks. Nothing's ever broke on this in 10 years, which is insane, other than I've replaced the gun head maybe twice. But anyway, I hope you guys learned a little bit. If I think of something else, I will let you know. Take care.